last night in my dreams, walking the streets of some old ghost town. I tried to believe in God and James Dean, but Hollywood sold out. Saw all of the saints lock up the gates I could not enter. Walked into the flames, called out your name, but there was no answer. And now I know my heart is a ghost town. My heart is a ghost town.
Everybody, welcome to the Off Limits Show. Thanks for joining me tonight here on the show. Tonight we're doing the Gay Mass Show, coming to you from Dallas, Texas, as always. It is midnight on Tuesday, well, actually Wednesday now, April 22nd, 2015. Thanks for listening. If you're listening live or if you're listening in the archives, where most people listen to the show, I appreciate it. Just FYI, you can always go to offlimitsshow.com. You can listen to the show there live or on iTunes. If you want to subscribe on the iTunes for the show, you can listen to Off Limits there. You can listen to Gay Mass and also Brain Purge, all the shows that I do in that location. Also on Spreaker.com and on Tune. I think it's iTunes or Tune.com or something like that. I don't know. I'm everywhere, so I'm sure you can find me somewhere. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook at Off Limits Show, on Twitter as well, and I think that's it. So you can find me everywhere. So be sure to listen however you want to listen. I appreciate it. So tonight we're talking about gay and old equals gold. That's what I titled the show because I was reading an article called Aging in Gayville, which is written by a blogger named Michael Rohrer. I think that's how you say his name. Or Michael Rohrer, probably. Rohrer. And he wrote an article on aging in Gayville on a Huffington Post. And I read it, and I didn't really agree with everything he had to say. Well, I don't have the same experience he had, and so I guess that's all I'm saying. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion and their own experiences, and that's what he's doing, is recounting his own experiences as aging, getting older, and as we all do. And I certainly have been, when I was younger. Well, he talks about, first I'll tell you, he talks about in the article about how when he was younger, he would, he was just kind of oblivious to everyone around him, and specifically the older men, gay men around him, and the ones who would show attention, and he would not give them the time of day or give them dirty looks or what have you. And I wasn't like that. I guess probably because I liked older guys when I was younger. When I was a teenager, and then when I was in my 20s or whatever. I've always been to guys who are older than me. I've never really liked guys younger than me. It's always been guys my age range or older, typically. And there's been a few exceptions, obviously, but generally that's the way it's been for me. And so when I was a teenager, I talked to guys who were older, however old they were, because I didn't look at them as someone who had no value. A lot of younger gay guys look at older gay guys like they're some, what do you want to be around them for? They're old, they're not hot, young, perfect bodies, and so forth. What do they have to offer you? Well, it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for someone, romantically, you may not be into an older guy. That's fine, but there's a lot you can learn from an older guy that you can't learn from your peers or people who are younger than yourself. And I knew that as a young kid, even 15, 16, 17 years old and into my 20s, like I said, I knew this. And I've always been someone who likes knowledge, and I've always liked people in general and getting to know people's stories. And so for me, I was always interested in what they had to offer me in terms of their life and what they'd learned and whatever. And of course, sometimes they were just interested in me just for a piece of ass or whatever, which I knew. But sometimes I was often interested in them for their brain or what they had in their mind, knowledge-wise and wisdom-wise, I guess. And I feel like, so I guess I was an anomaly. I don't know. I guess when I was young, I wasn't an asshole. I'm still not. And so I think that it was just something that I guess because I grew up around older people, I valued them, and whatever shape or form they came in, whether it was a man or a woman or whatever, I didn't look at everyone as a conquest or a sexual conquest. I looked at them as human beings that I could, learn from. And, because I grew up with my mom, my grandmother, a lot of older relatives, my grandmother's relatives, sisters and brothers, and a lot of aunts and uncles who were all older. I was always the youngest in my entire family. So I think that's why I was always a lot more comfortable with older people who were older than myself, whether it was a few years or several or many, because that's what I grew up with. That's what I knew. And I was always very mature for my age because that's how I thought. So I also think that's one reason I was more intelligent a lot of times than people who were my own age group. Of course, just beyond the fact that I'm probably more intelligent than most people anyway. Just kidding. But I was a smart kid anyway, but I'm just saying that I was able to pick up on knowledge and learn things just by being around people and living life around them and that sort of thing. And so as a gay person, when you're aging and you're young, remember to respect your elders. And I don't mean show them respect necessarily as much as respect what they have to offer. And people have been through things. And I always say this to, like I have nieces and nephews through my husband, whom are, they've made a lot of mistakes or whatever. And I was telling my sister-in-law a few weeks back about how frustrating it must be to have children that never listen to you. And, I was the same way, I guess, as a kid to some extent, but I really did pay attention to what my mom said, even though she didn't think I was listening. I didn't always agree because we are quite different people in our approach to life in general. But I would take her wisdom and I would actually take it in consideration. Kids today seems like they don't listen at all. They think they know everything. And all of them are like that, it seems. It's like none of them really respect what the older generations have to offer. And I've always said it's really stupid because, if you look at life as a game or something, or as I don't know if you can call it a game, and someone has played the game a lot longer than you, who knows the ins and outs and the things that are around the corner that you think what's going to happen or how you're going to react to these particular life events as they come to you. If you are playing a game with someone who's a veteran, then you might be better suited at listening to what they're telling you because they've been through all the bullshit, all the mistakes. They've made the mistakes. They've done the fucking wrong thing over and over again. And because they didn't listen to people themselves, or they didn't have someone to guide them. So if you have someone older than you who's trying to guide you in life, you don't have to do everything they say, whether it's your parent or a mentor or someone who's just older than you in the gay community or whatever. Just listen to what they're saying and take it to heart and consider it, because we probably know what we're talking about. I say we, like, it's not like I'm so old. I'm not old yet. I'm 39, but I want to talk about that because, but before I get to that, though, that's what I meant by gay plus old equals gold. It's a gold mine of wisdom and information that people older than us can tell us. I still can learn from people older than myself, including my mom and family members and people I know who are older than myself. And I've always felt that way. So maybe I'm an anomaly. I don't know, but I've always taken the wisdom and advice of people older than myself. And I think it's definitely helped me in my life and helped me achieve certain things sooner than other people because I had that wisdom. And I didn't make a lot of the same mistakes a lot of my friends and family members or whatever had done when I was in their, my 20s and my teen years, because I had people to guide me. And whether they're older or not, there's always something you can learn. But that's why I say gay plus old equals gold, because they really are a gold mine. But getting older, though, the guy talks about in the article, getting older and feeling like he's invisible. And to the younger generation, 20-year-olds or whatever, he's trying to attract. He's single, so he's trying to attract people of all different ages. I guess he's also trying to attract younger guys, but which will never be a problem for me, generally. But I think that it's it's unimportant if people don't see. As you get old, as we get older, as I get older, I do understand what he's saying, because I do understand as we age, our relevance to society declines, because, the main years, I think, of being relevant, so to speak, to society, where you can make a huge impact in terms of your career or your activism or your voice or whatever, using something to really impact the world, in my opinion, is from, your late teens to probably your early 60s or late 50s or whatever. And so that's really the prime years most people have in their lifespan. And so once you get into your late 50s and early 60s and whatever, people begin to start to, kind of not see your relevance anymore, unless you're famous or whatever, of course. But when it comes to just being in your 40s, you begin to see just sort of a twinge, sort of on the edges of frayed, on the edges of how there are certain things that you took for granted as a young person that are now becoming a lot less common. Where people, when you were young, used to walk down the hall or walk down the street or walk in a room or whatever, and people would turn their heads and look at you because they thought you were hot, or check you out or ask you out or whatever. In terms of beauty or whatever, that fades, of course, and even though I still, for me personally, my eyes have always been the one thing people always compliment me on the most. And, all of my life, I've talked about this before, get compliments on my eyes constantly. I mean, every month, if I'm going out somewhere, someone says something about how beautiful they think my eyes are. And I like my eyes. I guess, they're nice, they're unique, they're different, they're kind of hazel green, and they change colors, and sometimes they can look blue even if they're in the right light, but they're not blue, but they're green. But my eyes change colors, and they're just kind of unique. And so people always think I'm wearing contact lenses, and I always tell them no, I'm not. And I've even been forced to take them out on dates and stuff when I was single, because guys didn't believe they were my real eyes. And so my point is, and so the good thing about that is, for me, in terms of beauty fading, that's one of the main things about me that will never change. And there's, mom's going to have the same color eyes. And so I still continue to get those kinds of things. But I do understand how, you don't get the same looks and the same attention you did when you're young. And I think people who have a good core, a good sense of self, that's not a problem for them. Because as we age, if you have the right value system and you have the right priorities in life, you're not putting all of your eggs into one basket, which would be beauty or how you look. You're putting them into your career and how you, using your brain and your charm and other things about yourself and talents that to allow people to like you, love you,